The air in the archive felt cold and old. Dr. Lisa Morgan stood in front of a massive screen, her hands shaking slightly as she pressed the controls. Around her, representatives from a dozen different alien species waited in silence. Some had scales, some had fur, and some looked like they were made of living crystal. But all of them shared the same expression, curiosity mixed with disbelief. "Are you certain this is authentic?" asked Commander Vex, a tall Draxer whose red scales gleamed under the lights. His yellow eyes never left the screen. "We've verified it 3 times, Lisa said. Her voice was steady, but inside she felt like jumping up and down. "This footage is 50,000 years old. It comes from a precursor data vault we found buried beneath the surface of Tarex 7. Everyone knew they had fought a terrible war against something called the Devourers, creatures that consumed entire worlds. Most people thought the Devourers were myths too, just scary stories parents told their children. But Lisa had found proof, real proof. "Show us," clicked Ziara, a Vreen whose insect-like features reflected the light from her compound eyes. She leaned forward on her 4 legs, antennae twitching with anticipation. Lisa took a deep breath and activated the playback. The screen flickered to life. The footage was old and damaged in places, but clear enough to see what mattered. It showed a battlefield that stretched as far as the eye could see. The ground was covered in strange metal wreckage and something else, something dark and organic that seemed to move even in death. The sky burned with colors that shouldn't exist, and in the middle of it all stood a single figure. He was humanoid, but smaller than most warrior races. He wore armor that looked primitive compared to modern standards, all angles and plates that seemed heavy and awkward. In his hands he held a weapon that fired projectiles, not energy beams like civilized species used. Blood covered his armor and he looked exhausted, but he kept fighting. The footage showed him moving through the battlefield with a strange kind of grace. He wasn't faster than his enemies, he wasn't stronger, but he was still winning. Every movement had purpose. Every shot found its target. When creatures that looked like living nightmares charged at him, he didn't run. He adapted. He learned. He survived. "By the ancient stars," whispered Lauren, a Quarren whose translucent body pulsed with shocked colors. "Is that a human?" Every species began talking at once in their own languages, their translators struggling to keep up. Humans were known in the galaxy, but they were considered a young race. Friendly enough, creative and adaptable, but not warriors. They ran repair stations and trading posts. They were merchants and engineers and, well, ordinary. The idea that a human had fought in the ancient war, that a human had been a Precursor Champion, seemed impossible. "There must be a mistake," Commander Vex said, though his voice carried less certainty than his words. "Humans barely have space travel now. 50,000 years ago they would have been primitive. They were desperate and looking for any species that might help them. According to these files, humans had one quality the precursors valued above all others." They watched as the human in the video faced down a massive devourer, something that towered over him like a building. He should have died. Every tactical analysis said he should have died. But somehow, impossibly, he brought the creature down. The aliens in the room watched in stunned silence as the footage showed battle after battle. Days seemed to pass in the recording. The human never stopped. He got injured badly, but he kept getting back up. His armor fell apart. His weapon ran out of ammunition and he picked up another. When that broke, he used debris from the battlefield. "This is incredible," Lauren breathed. "We should make this public. The galaxy should know about this." A human champion who fought alongside the precursors, who helped save all life from the Devourers. He wore the simple gray uniform of the archive's maintenance staff. He was average height, average build, with brown hair and tired eyes. He looked completely ordinary. "Sorry to interrupt," he said quietly. "I'm here to fix the temperature control. It's been acting up all week." "Wait," she said, her voice rising. "Look at his face." Same small scar on the left cheek. Even the way he held himself, quiet and unassuming, matched the exhausted posture of the warrior in those final frames of footage. Commander Vex stood up slowly, his tail swishing with agitation. "You, maintenance worker. What is your name?" "Marcus, how long have you worked here?" He was starting to look uncomfortable. "Look, if there's a problem with my background check, you can talk to personnel. I really just need to fix this panel. Can you look at the screen for a moment?" "Historical footage." The Draxer's yellow eyes studied the human with an intensity that made even Lisa uncomfortable. "You will answer our questions," Vex said. It wasn't a request. Marcus sighed and set down his tool kit. He looked at the floor, at the walls, anywhere but at the screen or the assembled alien representatives. "Can we at least turn down the volume on that footage? I really hate hearing my own voice." Aliens spoke over each other in a dozen languages. Ziara's antennae vibrated so fast they blurred. Lauren's body flashed through colors so quickly it hurt to look at. Only Lisa remained still, her mind trying to process what Marcus had just admitted. "So it is you," she whispered. Marcus finally looked at her and she saw something ancient in his eyes, something that had seen too much and lived too long. "Yeah, it's me. Can I go now?" "We need answers." "That's all. You saw things that could help us understand our own past. So excuse me if I'm not excited about reliving it all for your archive." He looked exhausted, like someone who had been tired for so long they'd forgotten what rest felt like. The Precursors were desperate. They needed champions to fight the Devourers. They had this technology, something they'd been developing. It was supposed to enhance us, make us better soldiers. The Precursors didn't really understand human biology, so the results were unpredictable. Get shot, stabbed, blown up, thrown into a star doesn't matter. I always wake up. Sometimes it takes minutes, sometimes days, but I always come back. You couldn't be killed. The Devourers could kill me 100 times, but I'd get up 101. That's not skill. That's just stubbornness and bad luck. For 50,000 years. Changed my name every few decades. Took simple jobs where nobody asked questions. Every person I fought beside is gone. Every world I bled for is dust. What am I supposed to do? Throw parties to celebrate that I'm still here and they're not? For 50,000 years. Wars between species, pirates, anomalies we don't understand, you could help. That's enough for me. Multiple lifetimes of time. Just so we understand what really happened. But then I want to go back to my quarters and be left alone. And for the love of everything, turn down that audio. Seriously. Aliens from across the galaxy gathered to hear a story that had been lost to time. Marcus took a deep breath and began to speak, his voice low and tired. It started when the Precursors came to Earth. We were barely reaching our own moon. We had wars and problems and no idea we weren't alone in the universe. Then these ships appeared in our sky and everything changed. He touched the image briefly, then pulled his hand back like it burned. The Precursors showed us what was coming, Marcus continued. The Devourers, they'd already consumed half the galaxy. Entire civilizations just gone, eaten, turned into fuel for their expansion. The Precursors were losing badly. They'd tried everything. Better weapons, bigger ships, smarter tactics, nothing worked. So they came to Earth looking for help from a species that barely had spaceflight. We called it being too stubborn to quit. Made you feel hopeless, made you want to give up. Precursors were logical, ancient, wise, but that made them vulnerable. Once they calculated they couldn't win, they'd surrender or retreat. Humans, though, were kind of stupid that way. We keep fighting even when the math says we're done. In exchange, Earth would send volunteers for the Champion program. I was a soldier already, nothing special. But I wanted to help, wanted to matter. Funny how that works out. It showed a facility that looked both organic and mechanical, with lights that pulsed like heartbeats. Young humans stood in chambers filled with strange liquid that glowed. There were 50 of us in my group, Marcus said quietly. The process was supposed to unlock human potential, combine it with precursor technology. Each person got something different because human genetics are messy and unpredictable. The precursors thought that chaos might actually be useful. Daniel could move faster than thought, took a plasma blast to the chest, protecting a precursor evacuation ship. Rachel could see tactical probabilities, knew what enemies would do before they did it. She's the one who figured out the weak points in their hive ships. Saved millions, didn't save her. His voice never changed tone, flat and mechanical, like reading from a very old, very painful list. And you, Lauren said gently, you couldn't die. Just shredded. I remember the pain, remember everything going dark. Then I woke up 6 hours later in a body bag, scared the medical staff half to death. The precursors were excited, though. They realized what it meant. I could learn from every death, every mistake. I could go on suicide missions and actually come back with intelligence. I became their most valuable asset, which meant I got sent to the worst places. The aliens watched in horror as he was burned, crushed, dissolved, destroyed in ways that made them look away. And in every case, eventually, he got back up. "The footage you found is from the Battle of Sector 7, Marcus said. The Devourers had broken through the last major defensive line. If they got past us, they'd reach the core worlds, billions of people. The Precursors committed everything they had. All remaining champions, all their best soldiers, every ship that could fly. Karen died holding the left flank. Daniel died buying time for civilians to evacuate. Rachel died after she calculated the final winning strategy. Everyone died. Winning would mean something if anyone else lived to see it. I killed the Devourer Queen Mind in that sector, burned out their coordination. Without her, the drones became confused, easier to fight. The regular Precursor forces could handle them then. The battle turned. That sector held. Eventually, we pushed them back across the galaxy. The Precursors made sure, no chance of them coming back. Of course, the Precursors didn't come back either. The war cost them everything. Their civilization collapsed from the strain. Last I saw, they were abandoning their worlds, scattering into deep space, dying. Precursor technology in my body kept me young, kept me alive. I tried to find purpose, helped rebuild some worlds, started new lives, but everyone I connected with aged and died while I stayed the same. After a while, I stopped trying to make friends. Stopped trying to be important, just took simple jobs, moved when people got suspicious, repeated the cycle. It's simple, clean, helps people without them knowing my history. Can I please just do that? He walked to the door, and this time, Vex stepped aside. Marcus had almost reached the door when the alarms started screaming. Red lights flashed throughout the archive, and a mechanical voice began repeating emergency codes. Everyone froze for a moment, then training took over. Commander Vex rushed to the nearest console while other aliens grabbed their communication devices. "What's happening?" Lisa shouted over the noise. Vex's claws moved rapidly across the holographic display. His face, already intimidating, became even more severe. "We have a massive energy signature appearing in the Korath system. It just emerged from nothing. Sensors are trying to identify it now. Happens all the time. The pattern is strange, almost organic." A three-dimensional map appeared, showing the nearby star systems. In the Korath system, something enormous was lighting up every sensor. Marcus stared at the readings. His face went pale. "No, that's not possible. We killed them all. But it's huge, twice the size of anything in the historical records." Commander Vex barked orders at his subordinates, demanding full military mobilization. Lauren flashed colors so fast they became almost white, their species' response to extreme fear. "Everyone quiet," Marcus said. His voice wasn't loud, but somehow it cut through the chaos. People stopped talking and turned to look at him. "How long until it reaches a populated system?" "The main colony world within 12. Of course there are people there. Even if we sent every available ship, we couldn't evacuate 6 million people in 12 hours. Maybe we could save a few 100,000. We have better weapons than the Precursors did. Better shields, we can win. They just consume, they adapt. Every weapon you use, they learn to counter. Every strategy you try, they absorb and reflect back. I said you don't understand what you're facing. Who knows what this one has learned, why it survived, how it stayed hidden for so long." He walked to the window and stared out at the stars. The archive station orbited a beautiful blue planet, peaceful and alive. For a long moment, he said nothing. "I'm tired," he finally whispered. "I'm so tired, I don't want to fight anymore. I don't want to see more people die. I don't want to come back from death again and again, knowing I'm the only one who does. You'll carry those deaths with all the others. I've done enough." "But," Lisa continued, her voice gentle, "I'm not asking you to be a hero. I'm not asking you to fight. I'm just asking you to help people survive. That's what you do now, right? You fix life support systems. You keep people alive in small, quiet ways. This is just bigger life support, a bigger system that needs fixing. They need someone who knows how to keep systems running when everything is falling apart. Someone who understands how to survive when survival seems impossible." Then he looked at the screen showing the massive energy signature moving through space. Then he looked at his own reflection in the window, old eyes in a young face. "I hate this," he said quietly. "I know," Lisa replied. Marcus took a deep breath and turned to Commander Vex. "Get me access to your tactical systems. Full sensor data, fleet positions, everything. That thing out there might be too much even for your combined forces. A central nervous system that coordinates all the drones. It's buried deep inside, protected by layers of organic armor and thousands of defenders. Someone would need to get inside and destroy it manually." "For anyone else, yes," Marcus replied, and everyone understood what he meant. The command center had transformed into a war room within minutes. Holographic displays showed the Devourer hive ship moving steadily toward the Korath colony world. Fleet positions updated in real time as every available military vessel raced toward an intercept point. Marcus stood at the center of it all, his maintenance uniform looking out of place among the armored officers and decorated commanders. "The outer shell is organic armor about 12 meters thick," Marcus explained, pointing at the three-dimensional model of the hive ship. "Your weapons can damage it, but it regenerates. You need to focus fire on one spot, create an opening, and keep it open long enough for a small craft to get through. Anything bigger gets detected and swarmed by internal defenses." Marcus zoomed in on the ship's interior structure. "Once inside, you navigate through these channels. They're like veins, carrying nutrients and drones throughout the ship. Follow this path here, and you reach the core chamber. The ship itself dies." Marcus made it sound simple, but his expression said otherwise. "What's the survival rate for the pilot?" asked Captain Rodriguez, a human officer who commanded one of the approaching defense frigates. He'd been patched in via communication link. Marcus met his eyes through the screen. 0% for anyone normal. "Something. Many times." Marcus's voice was calm, accepting. "I'll wake up eventually, probably floating in space after the ship explodes. Your people can pick me up after. Perhaps the technology keeping you alive has limits. The fleet will create the opening. You get inside and finish it. We don't have time for a better plan." No weapons, no shields. Speed and size were his only advantages. Lisa found him in the hangar bay doing pre-flight checks. She'd brought a data pad filled with technical specifications, but she didn't offer it to him. Instead, she just stood there watching him work. "You don't have to do this," she said. "Yeah, I do," Marcus replied without looking up. "Those people down there, they're just living their lives, working jobs, raising families, fixing things. They're like me. They deserve a chance. When you come back after they rescue you, promise me you'll let yourself accept some recognition. Not as a legend or a champion, just as someone who helped. You deserve to know people are grateful." "I'll think about it, no promises." They focused their fire on a single point, just like Marcus had instructed. The organic armor burned and tore. Drones poured out of the wound like angry insects, but the fleet was ready. Fighter craft engaged them, keeping them away from the opening. Now, Commander Vex transmitted, "Opening is stable, go." He slipped past them like water through fingers. The inside of the hive ship was exactly as terrible as he remembered. Organic walls that pulsed and breathed. Strange lights that didn't come from any source. The smell, even through his suit's filters, was overwhelming. It smelled like death and hunger mixed together. Drones appeared in the channels ahead. Marcus didn't fight them. He flew around them, through gaps that seemed too small, making turns that would kill a normal pilot. His hands moved automatically, muscle memory from thousands of battles, guiding him even after 50,000 years. The core chamber was massive. The nervous system looked like a twisted tree made of flesh and metal, pulsing with sick light. Thousands of neural connections branched out in every direction. At its base sat something that might have been a brain or a heart or both. Marcus set the shuttle on a collision course. He armed every explosive charge he'd hidden in the engine core. Then he climbed out of the pilot's seat and grabbed the emergency kit. Inside was a single plasma torch meant for cutting through hull breaches. "This is for everyone who couldn't come back," he said to the empty chamber. He lit the torch and walked toward the nervous system. Drones noticed him now, screaming and charging. He didn't run. He just kept walking, cutting through neural branches as he went. The ship screamed. He felt it in his bones, a sound that wasn't quite sound. A drone hit him from behind. Claws tore through his suit and into his back. He fell but kept crawling forward. Another drone bit into his leg. He ignored it and kept going. The torch reached the central brain heart. He plunged it deep inside. The explosion came from two directions at once. His shuttle detonated in a ball of fire. The nervous system erupted from within as critical systems failed. Marcus felt everything burn away, then darkness, then nothing. He woke up floating in space. His body hurt everywhere, but it was healing. Through the viewport of the rescue ship approaching him, he could see the debris field that used to be a Devourer hive ship. In the distance, the colony world spun peacefully, safe and alive. Commander Vex's voice came through the emergency radio they'd given him. "Marcus Webb, you magnificent stubborn human, welcome back." Would complain about their jobs and fix their temperature controls and live ordinary, beautiful lives. Maybe that was enough. Maybe, for once, that could be enough. 2 weeks later, Marcus returned to his maintenance duties. The galaxy wanted to interview him, honor him, study him. He declined everything. But he did accept one thing. Lisa had arranged for a private workshop where he could work in peace. No cameras, no attention, just broken things that needed fixing and time to fix them. On his first day back, he found a note on his workbench. It was signed by 6 million people from the Korath colony. It simply said, "Thank you." Marcus put it in his pocket and got to work. The life support system in Section 7 was acting up again. Someone needed to fix it. And that was exactly what he did. Claude is AI and can make mistakes. Please double-check responses. Sonnet 4.5 Claude. The footage uncovered a Precursor Champion, the Human Murmured. "Turn it down, I hate hearing my own voice."